All right. Well, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Brown University Masters in Technology Leadership webinar. I'm the program director, Pete Chomowicz, and along with me is my colleague, Emma. And I'll take you through this afternoon a deep dive on our curriculum. We'll talk about the application process, and then we'll take your questions in about 10 or 15 minutes when I'm done with the presentation. So let me share my screen and we'll get started. All right. It says my presentation is loading. That's interesting. Let's try that one again, folks. Oh, there we go. Okay. Nothing like a technical glitch when we talk about a technology leadership program. To ask us a question, and we absolutely welcome your questions and your comments, please use the Q&A button. The chat feature is disabled. So here's the bumper sticker for our program. We build tech leaders. And I'm going to talk at length this afternoon, about what we mean by technology and what we mean by leadership. So let's take a quick look first at who is the program a good fit for and not such a great fit. So not a great fit for professionals who want to stay in individual contributor roles, or for people who want a heavily STEM-focused curriculum. Brown has quite a few master's programs, PhD programs that are STEM-focused. If that's what you're looking for, then I encourage you to look at some of our sister programs at Brown. Not a great fit for learners who want either a fully online or fully remote education, and I'm going to talk about the hybrid nature of our curriculum, or for those who want an MBA. If you do want an MBA, again, Brown has an executive MBA, and I'd be happy to share that information with any of you that are interested. Who is it a good fit for? MTL is a great fit for those who wish to understand the business implications of emerging technologies. And I want to underscore the business implications. So while the program is technologically focused, we're not teaching people to be technologists. We're not teaching you to be an engineer or a coder. Many of our students do have degrees in those fields. Many do not. But what we are teaching you is how to thrive in a very turbulent techno-business world. It's a good fit for learners who want a fast, focused master's degree that will accelerate their career. For students who want a hybrid experience that combines the best with being online, the flexibility of being online. You don't have to move to Providence, but also with being in person, as we have several residential sessions. And it's a great fit for those interested in building their peer network. I love this, this image. It's one I took, I guess it was last spring. This is our engineering building in the background, the Brown School of Engineering. And the MTL program is a partnership with engineering. It is a Master's of Science degree, and many of our faculty come from engineering. And in the foreground here is a sculpture, but it's also a sundial. But I just love this image of the Mobius strip because it reminds me of the complexity of the world that we're in, and that all of us need new skills, new abilities to adapt, to change, to grow, and to thrive in this turbulent world. And it's from that view that we believe technology is undergoing and creating rapid and disruptive change. And so we've created a program that has the student's concerns, the student's experiences at the center of a curriculum built in three broad areas: personal leadership development, analytical decision-making, and strategic thinking. All of these courses and the curriculum, the experiences, both online and in person, exist against the backdrop of technology. So technology is not a course per se that we have in the program, but rather the ways in which technology is changing all aspects of our lives is woven throughout everything that we talk about. And it's our hope that the end result, the goal of the program when you leave, is to transform those working in technology into strategic, innovative, and impactful leaders prepared to meet the world's new and evolving demands. Now, just a word about technology. I think it's probably safe to say that we are all working in technology today. You either are working at the cutting edge of technological innovation, perhaps for a Google or an Amazon. Many of our students come from big tech, or you are everyone else working for companies that are adopting and integrating and using those new technologies into their business processes. So how are we achieving the delivery of this complexity? Well, we do it by drawing from expertise and resources across the university. So lovely picture here of Brown University in the heart of Providence, Rhode Island. And our faculty come from all of the areas pictured here on the right. They come from the School of Engineering, from faculty from Cognitive and Psychological Sciences, from the Watson Institute for International Public Affairs. They come from Theater Arts and Performance Studies. There are other centers of expertise and research at Brown that we harness and we utilize, such as the Nelson Center for Entrepreneurship. They even come from other universities like the Rhode Island School of Design. And many of our faculty come with years, decades of professional experience. They come from finance, tech development, law, architecture, journalism, engineering, design, defense, to name a few. So let's take a quick look at those three broad areas of the curriculum and our faculty. In the personal leadership development area are three faculty here on the right in the gray box. So you will come to campus twice, 4 days in September, 4 days in February. You come in September to work on 2 courses simultaneously in person. One is the Critical Challenge Project. I'll talk about that in a minute. And the other is Persuasive Communication, taught by Barbara Tannenbaum. One of the things that distinguishes a program in leadership versus one in management is that leaders, it's presupposed that you have a vision at any scale, at any size of your company, and you need the confidence, the skills, and the ability to persuade people of that vision. Persuasion, persuasive communication in speech, in prepared remarks, if you're caught in front of a hot microphone, speech in front of a board or investors, or colleagues or employees. And Barbara's course and her faculty walk you through how to develop those skills. Barbara, by the way, has been at Brown for decades, and her course at the undergraduate level is one of the most popular in the university, and you get Barbara and her team as part of the program. You also work with Robin as a leadership coach, and Ed, one of our leadership faculty. So you'll return in February to work with Ed and Robin on developing your own personal leadership style. So we don't believe that leadership is one size fits all, but rather it's bespoke. So you will work with our faculty and our coaches to understand the context in which you want to lead and to understand your strengths and the areas in which you want to improve. And then the 2 faculty on the right, Steve Sloman, a longtime faculty at Brown. He's got a recent book out. He looks at the psychology of making decisions when the context of that decision-making is less than certain. And Don Stanford is also a Brown alumni. He's been with our program since day one. And he was the chief technology officer at one of the world's largest gaming companies. In the analytical decision-making space, 3 faculty that teach a number of courses. Ruben, he's on the staff at the Washington Post. He also teaches at the Rhode Island School of Design and at different departments at Brown. And he helps students, like Barbara's course in persuasive communication, how do we visualize and use data in our presentations persuasively. On the far right, Adam Braff, he helps students understand the ways in which data sets, large data, can be used, where are they, where they can be harnessed, and how to use data in support of one's arguments and in support of business creation. Bono teaches a number of courses in our program. One of them is entrepreneurial thinking. That's not necessarily the ways in which to create a new business, but it's the mindset that one needs to adopt in an entrepreneurial manner. In the strategic thinking area, Banu is back again with Leading Innovation Strategy. I teach a course in strategic planning, probably better thought of as futurism. Again, sort of like Steve's course, how to make decisions, how to think strategically when the context is less than certain, which we all have become accustomed to these days. 2 courses in finance taught by a longtime Brown faculty and somebody who's cut his teeth in the corporate world for many years, Pat McHugh. And then 1 course in climate solutions. Stephen Porter is a Brown polymath. He's our university's chief sustainability officer, and he teaches a course in sustainability in all of its different dimensions, not just environmental, but economic, cultural, the ways, again, the challenges that our business leaders face in today's rapidly evolving world, and the ways in which you need to embrace and struggle with them. Then there's 1 more course taught by our academic director, Larissa, the Critical Challenge Project. So it's a self-identified project. Larissa will walk you through a process in which you identify a problem that's important to you. Many of our students choose problems from within their workplace. They tie it to their employer. There's lots of good reasons for that. One reason is it gives students much higher visibility within their organization, and as a result, they often excel more quickly. Because when your superiors, when those in your company know that you're using the resources of an Ivy League university to solve an important, often very difficult business problem, it can have enormous return on the investment. Here's a list of a couple of examples. I need not read them all, but you can see that they really do underscore the diversity of the sectors our students come from. They come from consulting and big tech. They come from defense. And all of these students, many of these projects were ones that, again, they were coupled to their employer, but they need not be. And there's 1 more area of learning that's an option. It comes with your tuition, and that's a certificate from Oxford University in one of these 4 areas. So that's included again in your tuition. Students typically will take this the summer semester to do their certificate because summer is the lightest credit load in the program. Okay, so stepping back and summarizing this curriculum, what is it? What is the toolkit that we're hoping will enable you to do? So the common business situations that all of us face, we hope that you will be better equipped to handle artificial intelligence. To every single one of our students, AI is being integrated, it's challenging their businesses, and likewise, we're at the forefront of thinking about the ways in which AI is changing everything around us. You'll be better equipped to navigate change, to resolve conflict, to analyze markets, to make sound decisions, again, when the context of that decision-making isn't so clear, defining one's ethical compass, addressing sustainability, managing crises, developing new products, expanding globally, and building and managing teams. Let's take a look now at the details of the program. What does the curriculum actually look like? How many hours per week? When will you take the courses? So the degree is a Master's of Science. It's not an executive degree. It is considered a full-time degree in partnership with our School of Engineering. 12 months, you can begin in the fall or spring, and you will go to school for 3 consecutive semesters. We don't take summer off. Blended low residency program. So as I said, you'll come to campus for 4 days in late September, and again for 4 days in early February. Our students have on average about 10 years of work experience. Some have quite a bit more. Some have a few, in rare cases, have less. I think for those that are older, they often tell me that they might be at the VP or at the C-suite, but that the skills that got them there, they know are not the skills they need to keep them there. And that this curriculum that I've been describing it is what they view as necessary for success. Tuition, $75,000. Program overview. So as I mentioned, you can start in the fall or in the spring semester. The above the blue line are the 3 courses that you will conduct on campus in person. So you'll have the critical challenge project, the persuasive communication course, deep dive into those in September. Both courses, however, will continue online. So there's an in-person component to it and then an online component. And then you'll have the other 3 classes below. In the spring semester, it's a heavier course load. You have the 1 course that you're coming here for, the leadership laboratory, and then you have the 6 others. Now, you're not taking all 6 at the same time. Most of our courses are half a semester long. So you'll have 2 or 3 at one time. There's a break, and then you'll have the other 2 or 3. Summer, lightest semester, 3 half-credit courses, 2 in tech, 2 in finance, and then 1 in tech ethics. Just a graphic of where many of our students come from. These are all highly and widely recognizable brands. They come from big tech, they come from defense, from finance, sales, marketing, law. Many of our students already have graduate degrees in all sorts of fields, some in science, many have MBAs or law degrees, some from medicine, but they all find themselves at this intersection of business, technology, and strategy. And you will work closely with each other. You will build your network with people that work for these companies. You will learn from each other. You'll support each other. Students become fast friends in the program. You'll work on teams. We change the teams every semester, so there's a chance for you to work with everyone. And the hybrid program, so while you're working online, there are evening lectures, office hours, lab sessions, which are recorded if you can't make it, but they're usually once or twice a week, 7 p.m. Eastern time. So just a couple comments on the application. There's a form and fee. The fee is waived for all of you joining us this afternoon. A personal statement in 3 parts. Why Brown? What do you hope to learn? How to enrich others? How do you imagine you will enrich others? So I've been talking about this cohort nature of the program, how you're going to work with each other, learn from each other. What is it you're bringing? What is your unique strength or skill or life experience that will elevate those around you? So these are short essays, just a few hundred words each, just come right to the point. There's a couple other short questions. You can figure 20 to 25 hours per week of total engagement of online courses, reading, assignments. Summer, again, the lightest semester, spring is the heaviest. So all of our students are working full-time professionals. So how do you imagine that you'll be able to balance your schedule? There's an opportunity for you to tell us something about yourself that's not in any of the other questions. I always enjoy reading those about where students are from or particular awards they might have won. Also, for many of our students, some of our students, GPA may not be what you had hoped it was as an undergraduate, and there's an opportunity for you to discuss anything you'd like us to know about that, unique circumstances, for example. My number one hint, in all of the application materials is be specific. Why Brown? I know many of you are probably applying to other programs. It's to be expected, of course, but our program is unique. It is different. So make sure that you understand the MTL program and that you see a good fit. That's what our admissions committee is looking for, is that you understand the uniqueness of the program and you understand how it will help you in the next phase of your career. Be specific. And that's certainly true for your recommendations. So there are 3 recommendations. The more specific people can talk about your abilities, the better. So former bosses, managers, superiors, people that have evaluated your performance, those are the best letters. Letters from colleagues and friends, sort of personal endorsements, not the strongest. There is an interview. You can do it one of 2 ways. It's a 15-minute Zoom with me and our academic director, or there's an opportunity for you to record a response to 2 prompts. One is not better than another. It's whichever you prefer. and then your resume or curriculum vitae. Again, be specific. So the strongest resumes, it's clearly understood where you worked, what your title is or was, and what was your role or accomplishments. Official transcripts from any of your institutions, undergrad and grad, and of course, there's no GRE or GMAT required. Application dates. So for fall admission to start in early September of 2025, we must receive your application by June 15th. The recommendations can come after, but you must submit your application by middle of June. For those that want to start in the spring of next year, we have a series of priority review deadlines. These give you a better chance. Priority review gives you a better chance of admission because it is a competitive program and seats do fill up. Lastly, I want to just highlight two of my colleagues here, Susan Coogan and Gabby McVicker. You can reach them at professional@brown.edu. Myself, Susan Coogan, we're all here to answer any questions that you have about the program and to help you with your application. Okay. That's a lot in probably record time. So let me turn it over to my colleague, Emma, to see if we have any questions from the audience. Emma.
Okay, so just a reminder, if you have any questions, please submit them at the bottom of your Zoom toolbox in the Q&A section, and we will make sure to answer them. So the first question that I am seeing here is, are different aspects of the application weighted more heavily than others?
The common question, no, it's not that we have a sort of numeric weighting. We really look at the whole candidate. So that's why you want to be specific and you want to be clear in who you are, your accomplishments, where you're working, and your interest in the program. So we really do look at every aspect, the whole person. One is not necessarily more important than another. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question that came in here, for a full-time professional on the West Coast with 3 kids at home, can you provide an example of how the weekly time commitment might be allotted?
I can. Might be more helpful for me to connect you with one of our current students who has exactly that profile, or one of our alumni. They tell you firsthand what it was like. One of the challenges for the West Coast folks is the evening Zoom sessions. So they are at 7 p.m., it's 4 p.m. Western time. They are recorded. And those Zoom sessions, they are important because it gives the student the opportunity in a hybrid program to still have that intimacy with your faculty and with fellow colleagues. So you'll be live. Sometimes there'll be breakout sessions if you're working in a group. So I do grant to you that it can be a challenge, 4 p.m. That's why it's important. I think what our West Coast people in particular would say is that they have socialized with their company, with their superiors, that they're doing this degree, that they have support. Again, the CCP is a great way to get support. And they understand that don't book a meeting, 4 p.m. Western time, because you might be online. Just one more thought about that CCP. We have a letter on our website that you're free to use for whatever purpose you'd like, and it describes the value of the Critical Challenge Project to an employer. So again, those that can find a company problem are usually well served because you can, what I'll call, double dip. So you can be working on a company problem while you're also working on a school problem at the same time. I mentioned that it gives you higher visibility. So a lot of employers will have a problem. They'll say, hey, we've got this sort of wicked problem over here in a parking lot. We've just never had the bandwidth, or it's never been on a critical path. And it'd be great if somebody could actually solve it. So those problems, they're not a moonwalk. They're not so big and so ambitious that they're impractical, but they are important. And they usually are what I'll characterize high risk, high reward. So that letter describes the nature of the CCP, its value. And many of our students are able to leverage additional tuition assistance from an employer because it demonstrates that you're not just becoming a better, more valuable employee by getting a Brown degree, but that you're actually solving a real world problem. And that reminds me, one thing I wanted to mention about our curriculum is we call it an action-oriented curriculum. So there are courses, many courses that have a theoretical component to them, but they all have a very practical application of that theory. So you will be applying in real time to your workplace the things that you're learning at Brown. Okay, that's a long answer. Next question, Emma.
Yes, we had a couple come in here. I'll start with, is the GRE GMAT not required or test optional?
Not required. Yeah, I mean, if you want to submit your scores, that's fine, but it's not required.
The next question here, what is the difference between the MBA and MTL program at Brown?
The Brown MBA is a very unique program. So like a lot of MBAs, which are kind of a generalist degree, ours falls into that category. The Brown MBA is a partnership with the IE Business School based in Madrid, Spain. So IE is, I think it's one of the top 5, something like that, ranked MBA programs in the world. And it's a very unique program. It too is hybrid. You come to Brown twice, you go to Madrid, and you also go to South Africa. So the MBA, it's 16 months, and you have many of the kinds of business courses that you would have in any MBA, but it really does have a global and international and a sort of developmental focus. So very unique program. Happy to connect you with my colleague, Brendan, who runs that program.
The next question here, could you please share some insights into the key characteristics or personas of ideal candidates you typically look for? And then asking about the program's competitiveness.
It's highly competitive. And that is sort of almost part 2 of the answer to the question that you pose, in that because it's a cohort-based program and you configure the class size is around 60 students, we are highly selective and we are highly curatorial, which means we want people from all different walks of life. So we'll have students from all across the country. We have a few international every year. As you saw on that screen with all the company logos, they come from all different industries and sectors. So it's important to us. There isn't one kind of candidate that when we see them, him or her, we say, oh, they tick all the boxes. It's how does that candidate fit within the overall profile of that whole cohort.
Thank you. Does Brown or this program in specific consider work experience gathered during undergrad, or is just post-grad work experience considered?
It depends. Typically just postgraduate. In some instances, a student might be at a school with a co-op program, like Boston or Northeastern, right? They have a co-op program where you're really working as much as you are going to school. Some programs are like that. Some might have taken a year off. COVID really threw a lot of things topsy-turvy, where students were taking semesters or a year off. So it really depends on how what that work experience looks like. Just doing an internship or a summer internship during the 4 years, that not really wouldn't count, no.
Thank you. How can we connect with alumni?
2 ways. You can, on our website, there's an alumni ambassador page. There's 9 people. You can contact any or all of them if you want. That's why they're there, is to share with you their experience in the program. You can see where they work and what their backgrounds are, find somebody that maybe it's a similar sort of path to your own. And you can write to me, to Susan, to Gabby, professional at Brown, and we're happy to connect you. Be specific about what kind of person you'd like to talk to, somebody in your industry or even in your company, somebody that made a career change or somebody that came to the program to launch a business, the very entrepreneurial mindset. So the more specific you can be about the kind of person you'd like to talk to, we're happy to connect you.
And I will share that link in the chat for everyone as well.
Thanks, Emma.
The class profile you shared, it seems like students come from extensive work experience in big tech or similar. Would graduates that don't have similar work background be competitive candidates, asking specifically for international candidates?
Again, we don't have a checkbox. It's not like we're looking for somebody, that has to come from a particular company or a particular industry. We're looking to understand each person's uniqueness and what they're bringing to the program, and that you understand how the program is going to benefit you. Full stop. That's the way we look at candidates. So if you're an international candidate, help us understand you. We may not know your country that well. We may not know your industry or your company. So take the time to explain it. And one way to do that, schedule a call with me. So we can jump on a Zoom. I can learn more about you, and I can go into greater depth than I am here about the curriculum and the kinds of students that we have. That's a great question. Thanks.
Another great question that just came in. Have students leveraged this program to shift to a different company? And is there support from Brown beyond networking with folks in your cohort?
Absolutely, yes, to both of those. So not uncommon. We get every year a few students, for example, that are active military. They're retiring or they're completing their service. And they recognize that military careers don't necessarily map that well to civilian ones. So they're using the program as a way to transition. And we have a few alumni ambassadors fit that profile. Others are starting their own company, and others are striking out into a new industry. And they're using, in particular, that critical challenge project to help them do that. So CCP projects often take one of three types. One type is very entrepreneurial. I want to start a new business. And we have students that have done that. They might use the Nelson Center at Brown, the Nelson Center for Entrepreneurship, to help them do it. It's a resource available to all students to help them launch. They mentor them in entrepreneurship, help them launch their program, their business. Others are entrepreneurial within their company. As I talked about, you could be taking on a really difficult company problem, might be creating a new product, a new service, a new P&L. So that's one type. Another type of CCP are those that want to become thought leaders. So this again are people that might be thinking about a career transition. So I might be an expert in a particular area. That's my background, my education, but I want to move my career into a different direction. And so the CCP can help demonstrate with a very significant body of work that you have an expertise in this new area to help position your job search. And then the third type of CCP is process improvement. Often a typical kind of project for those that come from STEM fields. They might see that there's inefficiencies or ways that they can make company processes better and more effective. And so those projects can be very technical by nature. So in addition to the Brown MTL alumni, of which we have about 300, they're very active, very supportive of each other. You would be joining a network of over 100,000 Brown University alumni worldwide, and guaranteed in whatever city you're in, there's a Brown network. There's a Brown alumni network. We don't distinguish, by the way. Some universities do. Just because our program is a hybrid nature of instruction, your diploma, your alumni status, your student ID, you are a Brown student, period. We don't make any sort of distinguish one type of student from another. You're a Brown student, you're a Brown alumni, and all of the university's resources are available to you. And one in particular is our career support. So Career Support Office works with current students and alumni, helping them with their job search, their cover letters, their online persona, structuring their CV, changing their career direction. They're here to work with all of you one-on-one throughout your career. Next question.
It looks like that was our last question.
All right. Well, thank you all for joining us on what is here in Providence.
Sorry, one last question did come in here.
Okay, sure. Let's go.
Since most courses are online, are there classes that you can take only synchronous? Since with synchronous, it's so easy to live problem solve and interact with the professor and other classmates versus asynchronous. If not, how is the networking and collaboration or peer learning structured? Are there regular spaces to interact?
So can you read that one more time?
Yes. Since most courses are online, are there classes that you can take only synchronous? Since with synchronous, it's so easy to live problem solve and interact with the professor and other classmates. If not, how is the networking, collaboration, or peer learning structured? And are there regular spaces to interact?
So the 2 residential sessions, although they're 4 days, we are packing a lot in them. You're going to be thinking, working on your feet from 8 to 6. And it's not just the course material that you're working on. You'll be breaking out into groups. We're going to take you across campus. There are lectures, there's workshops, there's all kinds of events that happen in those 4 days. But you can consider the residential session synchronous, and you're really biting off the lion's share of the coursework for those 3 courses live and interactively. When you're working online, most of the courses you'll work in student groups of about 5 or 6 students. And often students need to manage their own time with those groups. So some might be able to do it asynchronously. Others might have scheduled Zoom meetings to work on student projects. The course I teach, it's all student teams, and you're going to stay with the team for the whole course. Each module builds one on top of another. So it's vitally important that you're closely connected with everybody. Was that the last question?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you all very much for giving us this Thursday afternoon on what is a very cold and dreary day in Providence. If you have any questions at all, please contact me, Susan, or Gabby, and we're happy to answer any questions that you may have. Until then, thank you all very much and take care.